10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
And we are live. We are in it. We are going. Welcome, one and all, to another Dash League cast. We are in the Season 7 playoffs, and if you don't know that, you have not been paying close attention. And also, if you do not know my voice, if you do not recognize me by now, I am Notgollum, everybody's favorite caster and commentator. Make sure you write that down and keep note of that for later. And anytime anybody asks you, you know what to answer. Not because I told you, of course. You just gotta be in the know to know, you know. We've got two wonderful teams going at it head to head. We are in the Walker tier semi-finals right now. Semi-finals. How about that? This match is going to determine who moves on to the finals and who will be playing for third place. Whichever team goes down here will be down but not out. Important to remember that. Down but not out. Also, unlike during the mid-season, they will be playing the full payload without the league payload mutator. It's just get to the finish line. You don't have to pass it. You're not trying to show off. You're just trying to win and move on that way. And I find that makes it that much more high stakes. As far as Acid in Blue is able to push, the cart is the line that Jester needs to make it. That being said, we are going to be playing on Abyss as the first map. Volcano will be the domination. Stadium, as always, will be the tiebreaker. So looking forward to how that is going to be going for today. Since we're just hanging out here and both teams are in the middle of discussions and preparations and getting ready to go, we've got about 10 minutes left before they are required to start. Leave a like, make sure to comment, and subscribe. It helps support the channel, the league awareness for the league that we all know and love so much. And lovely to see you here as always. Also, if you are new to the channel, I will of course be explaining how each of these modes works. Does look like Acid is ready, so let's go ahead and go over the rosters. Who has been brought into the match today? We have on Jester, Cosine, Goofball, Duskull, Reacher, and Zuinyu. Over on Acid, Gog, Higuruma, Lumi, Smallquad, and Benji. Benji, gotta really emphasize the B for that. I find that pretty fun to do. Regardless, I'm getting a little distracted here because I'm just so looking forward to how this match is going to commence. These teams have been through the ringer, to say the least, this season, and still they're pulling it together to give us a wonderful match. Both of these teams have some exceptional players, and I really look forward to seeing how things are going to work out. The first map, Abyss. No, Canyon, excuse me. Canyon. That's definitely what I said the first time, and that is, I believe, what we are going to be playing today. Now you've got me second guessing myself. I just need to check on the calendar just to make sure that I have everything in order. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, Canyon and Volcano. Well, look at that. I was going to have this whole speech prepared about how Abyss is different, but from the other payloads, but Canyon, pretty much the opposite of Abyss. I'll explain why. Canyon is the oldest of the three payloads. It has been around for the longest time. It's got the most history with it. It used to be called some different color. That was even before my time, and I've been playing this game for years. But back in the days of Alpha, it was just this white zone with one single color associated with it. I think maybe this one was called Blue, is my guess. And it is a very, very different scenario in the pre-checkpoint and the post-checkpoint. The pre-checkpoint, Blue pushing the cart, up to 3 people can move the cart at slower or faster speeds depending on how many are on it. And if any red players are on the cart is not going to move. Now, the blue players are at a severe disadvantage. Compared to the free payloads, they don't have that far to push the cart. But they have no dash pickups. They've only got access to shocks, SMGs, one shield, I suppose, but most teams don't tend to use that, and a shotgun. They've got a decent amount of cover in their spawn, but red team, by contrast, has access to 4 different dash pickups. They've got their rockets. They've got an easy way to set up double SMGs, which is very significant for watching very long sightlines. I'm sure we'll see that in the match here. And so because of that huge discrepancy in pickup availability, it is very expected, pretty standard for teams to get held before the checkpoint. Once those first 6 minutes run up, if they don't make it through the checkpoint, no additional 6 minutes gets added for a chance to make it to 100%. Most teams will get held here if it is pretty even. If both teams have their act together, have their strategy together, know how to use their resources, it is not unexpected to be held at pre-checkpoint here, and it's just a battle of how close to that checkpoint can you get. However, if either team is able, or more specifically, I guess, because we're not playing with League Payload, if Acid is able to make it through the checkpoint, that is a great sign for them of potential success once you switch sides. As soon as the 6 and possible additional 6 minutes are up, switch sides, red team pushes the cart as blue, blue team holds the cart as red. We get to see an offense and defense play out of both teams, and that's always exciting to watch. But we'll just be keeping track of the pace as the cart approaches that checkpoint as a signifier of generally how far a team is going to make it, how likely they are to make it through that checkpoint, because that is huge. As soon as the cart makes it through checkpoint, the spawns move and change. Blue team moves up. They have access to all those resources that red did earlier, and it's a bit more even, possibly even in favor of the team in blue. They get all of those dashes, and red doesn't. And I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. The pickups, the specific player positions that it's important to watch out for is more in terms of what can red do to close off sight lines and use their rockets properly, make use of all of those resources they have available to them, versus blue just trying to play together as a team, might be able to get pickups, but how can they lock down those resources that the team in red is able to make use of and try and minimize that difference. So red team, double SMGs, huge this season. Have been pretty big last season, but huge this season. Is red going to make good use of that? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see once the match gets started. Also curious when rockets are going to get set up by red, as we are in this early part where blue has the spawn advantage because they are respawning very close to their objective, whereas red has to travel all this distance that we see here.
Match starts.
Meanwhile,
3, 2, 1. Go.
All of the players in red are going to be setting up in a back line trying to bait out the team in blue. Reacher locking down this. Looks like rockets did get taken out, and the cart is continuing to move. That is actually a great start for Acid. Despite losing a couple players initially, they have not lost their position. And Jester has. Jester has completely lost their initial hold, and now Acid is able to double stack relatively for free. Good SMGs out of Zuinyu, though. Takes out 2 players. Follow up by Acid. Does keep that cart moving. And they are double stacking as well, but that turns out to be a terrible choice for them. Good triple kill by Goofball with the Sharks. He's on a 7 kill streak right now. Zuinyu showing up, takes out Lumi. A bit of a fight for the cart. Duskull ready to move in with those gold rockets and gold shotguns. 2 kills for Duskull, and now the cart is still not moving. This is actually a pretty slow start. The cart has been relatively stable, all things considered, but all of these kills are stacking up. I like that Acid is continuing to focus on this objective despite those difficult wipes that they were encountering, as that is very important. Sometimes teams can lose focus when they get wiped a couple times in a row and lose even more time than they initially did. If they had just gotten right back on that cart, it continued with their strategy, and thus far, despite the initial disadvantage, they are flying down this main rail. Good kill by Cosine there. Does help Zhu and Yu to wipe that cart. Zhu and Yu also, cart stacking, very, very good to see. You need teams to focus in on the cart stacking as red, as this push by Small Quad that we saw in the bottom right is a great sign of how cart stacking is so helpful. If a red player like Cosine was on the cart there, the cart would not have moved very far at all, but we are already starting to approach this Rocketeer Dream territory that we see here. Duskull going for a couple hits on the cart, did get pushed out of the way, but now has a dash, hops up to the high ground, takes out the objective, and the rest of his team trying to screen a forward defense so he can just focus on that cart. Maintaining the high ground here, but most of his team has gotten wiped, and the rest of Acid now pushing forward. All of them respawn together. Good kill by Duskull. He just needs to keep up with this dash rotation, just taking the ledge dash. One thing that is going to screw him, though, is if he's barely out of position, not able to get the drop on somebody, Higuruma taking him out at the perfect time, as Acid is currently double stacking with 3 minutes left on the clock. They're actually making very, very good time. All things considered, 3 minutes left to try and make it through this checkpoint is fantastic. Although, Jester could still hold it, despite how short of a distance there is remaining to go through here. Jester could hold it if they're good with their cart stacking, if their Rocketeer is consistent and doesn't get taken out by Higuruma a second time. They might have been able to hold it, but now Higuruma able to hop on, has one teammate behind him as well, ready to grab that dash. Behind him does go down to Goofball, who hops on with the cart stacking, did hold things up a little bit. Desperately, Jester trying to regain some ground. 2.5 minutes on the clock, though. At this pace, Acid is well on their way to making checkpoint. It's just a matter of how long is that going to take, how far will they take it past the checkpoint, and I'm sure Jester is rapidly trying to adjust their strategy and their positions to adapt to this unexpected somewhat dominance by Acid. Every time Acid has tried to push together as a group, they have been able to. Good steal in the rockets too. Duskull does not have rockets, has to push forward and hop on cart, and Shocks wipe out the rest of Jester, and now a free ride through the checkpoint for Acid. With about 2 minutes left on the clock, Acid is well on their way to making it 100%. No Jester players in position to stop this, and in fact, Gog and Lumi moving forward along with one of their teammates to try and hold the front line, preventing the cart from getting pushed. Duskull almost made it through there. Cosine not quite able to flank at the same time as his teammate, but Goofball with the double shocks is going to try and hold things down. Good kill by Gog there, ending that streak before it can really start. Very important. Acid has been very good about their consistency with following up on positions and trying not to all be in the same place at once. Jester, meanwhile, has been flooding a little bit, and that's clearly not working out very well for them. They need to play more together like Acid is if they want to be able to take this map. That was quite the roaring start here. Things are going to be a little bit more consistent back and forth, especially with the way that Acid is playing. I like the shocks that I've been seeing out of Goofball, but he just hasn't been pushing in with his teammates the way that he needs to. But that's not uniquely an issue for Gog, it seems. I just really have to commend the way that Acid is playing here. I don't think it's Jester playing poorly as much as it is Acid playing very well here. Jester just not together nearly enough. I can't emphasize how important it is to play with your teammates in this. Despite how fast it is, trying to move around the map, despite how enticing it is to try and get a sneaky flank on the cart, most players, even in the Walker tier, but especially in the playoffs of Walker tier, are aware enough and skilled enough to punish a flanker if they have a teammate with them. You're not going to win a 2v1 fight in anywhere but a game where you have a severe advantage in skill over your opponents. I like this off positioning by Duskull, but he did unfortunately have to change positions as he was getting pushed, and Acid still moving that cart. It is hardly ever been stopped here. That kill by Higuruma also going to continue the streak. Both teams are just flooding into this cart, but that seems to be working out a bit better for Jester at this point, since that is what Jester's been doing for this whole map. The cart's been moving little by little this whole time, and Acid does win the team fight. GOG had to hop off cart, but there's multiple Acid players in position to follow up, and the cart is still moving forward at 82, soon to be 83%, with 5 minutes left on the clock. Acid, it would be a miracle if a miracle for Jester if Acid did not make it through this checkpoint. Jester does have the spawn advantage here, but Acid's just been grouping up. We can see on the minimap all of them are wiped out, and one player for Acid, I believe that is, yes, Higuruma, is going to rush forward and instantly get punished for it. The rest of his teammates, though, Small Quad and GOG, are trying to play together here. Lumi moved up to try and flank and at least force Rockets out of any sort of ideal position, but possibly get the kill on them. Not able to grab this health, but the cart is just about ready to move forward. I don't know what these players are doing. Yes, looking out for the rockets. There we go. Lumi on the rocket hunt. Good kill by Reacher, though, protecting his teammate. Gets a kill on Small Quad as well. Hops up behind cart, takes out Benji. It's just Higuruma and GOG. Are they going to get significant cart movement? No, they are not. Good wipe by Goofball there. I don't know about that hopping off the cart, though. A little bit of movement taken there. These micro pushes by Acid have been very good for them. Jester, we can see they're trying to stack the cart, but for whatever reason, it's just not working out for them. I think they don't have teammates in position to try and take advantage of that stoppage that they are looking for, and now that Acid is able to use shocks, it is going to be very difficult to stack the cart like they want to. For this exact reason, free kills for Small Quad, only one of them actually a kill, but they were free. And Acid at 98%, 3.5 minutes left. One player in position, Benji getting 2 kills with the shocks. Did get a tiny bit of movement there, 98.7% there. Small Quad showing up. Acid is continuing to flood in, but every time they flood, I think here's the difference. They have one player in a backline ready to turn it into a two-man fight. I don't like this amount of flooding, though. I expect they should be grouping up at this point, despite how dominant they've been through this map. If they really want the best chance to win, they need to get the cart in now. Jester, meanwhile, doing a great job of delaying overall, but Lumi ready to hop on, gets the kill on Duskull. 3 players alive for Acid around cart, soon to be 4. Does mean they get 100% with 2 minutes and 53 seconds left. It is not looking good for Jester. I'm going to be full on there. Not looking great for Jester. But there is potential there. If Jester can match or exceed this rapid pace in the pre-checkpoint and then follow it up in the post, maybe they're more of a cart pushing team, a blue team, than Acid is. Maybe Acid is going to fall down in the defensive on red. But that remains to be seen. And the signs are not great, all things considered. Lumi here, hiding in chaos with Small Quad. Small Quad with the double shotguns is waiting a moment, trying to punish any sort of overzealous player like Duskull, who did, who was that? Nah, I can't remember who that was. Somebody over on Jester was a little bit over-eager. Jester also only single stacking at this point. Acid, meanwhile, was double stacking for pretty much this whole straightaway. And so Jester is going to lose a little bit of time here, despite trying to go for more consistency. They have the spawn advantage. They need to make use of it as much as possible. Zhu and Yu taken out by Small Quad. One miss with the double shotguns does end up ending his life. And Lumi, trying to get some bounce shots into the Chaos Room, is ready to flank the cart with his teammates. The cart does go down. Jester players following up, but don't know that Lumi is behind. Good kill by Duskull, though, following up to support his teammate. And Jester is also double stacking, at least briefly, this cart. The movement has been consistent, which is good, and I liked that defensive awareness out of Cosine, but he's now getting pushed by Rockets. Rockets go down. Good, good. Duskull moves forward on the high rail. The cart is still moving, but I think Jester is starting to lose ground, and the cart... Well, I thought it was going to go down. Okay, now it goes down. Acid has control of this Chaos Room. Not a great sign for Jester, who needs to make a rapid pace in order to beat Acid, or at least even just have a chance at beating Acid here. Already starting to get held up. Acid was about 3.5 minutes when they made it to the end of that far wall around the corner, and when players like GOG are tearing you up in the Chaos Room, it is not going to work out for you. I do like this flanking position by Cosine. I think he's going to take advantage of the fact that Acid has been very good at playing together when it's around the objective, but as soon as somebody gets behind and they have to split their focus, there's a potential there to try and turn things around. Small Quad getting some work done, somehow not going down in all of that fight. Still alive, possibly able to grab this health, just waiting to get behind somebody like Zoo and you there. The cart is still held up, but Jester is making a somewhat similar pace to Acid, if I remember correctly, starting to use shocks as well, but those rockets are in a very safe position. Acid, meanwhile, when they were blue, was able to make use of that flank dash on the right side of the rockets in that little cubby area. Much better than Jester has thus far. Jester, I would say, just a tiny bit too focused on that objective with all of their players. Good direct push by Cosine, though. Completely unexpected. Full frontal assault does kill the rockets. The rest of Jester trying to follow up, but there's just not enough players in position to do so. Lumi punishes that last player trying to ride up the main rail and catch up with the team fight. Not able to get the kill on Zuinyu, however. Good double kill there. Oh, no. And that focus on that objective does actually doom Zuinyu. The rockets, I think, are still alive somewhere. And that is not great. If you're the first one there, you've got to take out those rockets. Small Quad with the rockets set up once again. Gets a kill on Reacher. But the micro pushes by Jester have been decent. And Dusko gets behind. Kills the cart as well. Hops off. Is going to engage with GOG. And Benji does lose that fight there. And Benji trying to set up double SMGs. I think he recognizes that the main rail needs to get locked down, as Jester's been able to ride up more or less for free most times that they try. These micro pushes by Jester also very good. You can see, despite what is such a strong position for Benji, who has been very good with these headshots with the SMG, still Jester was able to move a cart a pretty significant amount. There's not very far that the cart needs to go, and so if Red Team is not stacking the objective, then the rockets and the SMGs can't lock it down and prevent any movement the way that they need to by getting kills. Finally, Acid starting to stack the cart, but they've been giving away this main rail for free because Benji has been playing a bit too defensively, and Duskull takes him out. Sneaky rockets here do get 2, 3, 5 kills. 5 kill streak for Higuruma just watching that flank and that cart. Hopefully Jester has called it out. Yes, that's one Rocketeer dead, but there is a second one in the wings for Acid, holding things down. Minute 25 seconds left. Not looking great for Jester. There's still a chance, though, with some very good shocks. Goofball, recognizing he's the man in front, needs to try and take out those rockets. Not able to find them, though. Doesn't have the dash to go exploring. Acid very good at stacking the cart here. Not quite in position to lock down the flank just yet, and Jester is keeping it a little bit scrappy. These rockets are a million miles away, trying to just stay safe and hit the cart consistently, relying on teammates to stack it. But I don't know about this position. A secondary Rocketeer is going to make the difference, though, keeping one rocket alive at all times, ready to hop in if needed, and a second one close to cart is a winning strategy. Jester is just underneath the checkpoint, desperately trying to make it through, dancing around this cart, getting the micro pushes and no hop on of the objective. Jester is a millimeter away from making this checkpoint with 30 seconds left. Can Acid hold it? And pre-checkpoint, Jester, after that amazing post-checkpoint they had when they were blue, no they cannot. Jester makes it through. Good double kill by Small Quad, though, still tearing things up with the rockets, going to try and eat up a little bit of time and attention. Jester, if they want to win this, has to not just make it to 100%, but make it to 100% with like 2.5 minutes left or something crazy. They need to be insanely consistent here. And when you have a player moving in the back like Goofball to grab shocks, if they don't make that insanely worthwhile, they are just losing time. They need to stay focused on this objective. They need to clear the area around the cart and stack it as much as possible, because they are not going to have this easy of a time pushing forward later on once the spawn advantage starts to change. They can't... No, there was nobody on the cart. Okay, finally, a triple stack, but multiple players going down. to Benji there. Still, the cart has nobody on it. This is not looking good for Jester. It might just be a matter of pride at this point. How far can they get this cart? Because I'm concerned they might not even be able to make it to 100%, let alone at what a stellar pace that Acid had earlier. Still nobody on that cart. Duskull finally follows up, but he's the one with the SMGs. He's supposed to be watching, and when he was not watching that frontal sight line, players like Small Quad were able to sneak behind and get the kill on the SMGs and the cart. Good defensive play here, but Jester, again, they need to be stacking if they want a chance at winning. Finally, they are stacking here. I know it's going to give up a lot of positional advantage, and sometimes you might get flanked by a player like Gog, but that's just a risk that you have to take. Gog does take himself out on the cart. That is going to help Jester a little bit, but Acid has wiped Jester, and now they are trying to follow up. I think just a little bit of over-disruption from players like Goofball would normally be pulling attention of most of Acid, but Acid staying locked in on this objective is the right thing to do, because Gog eventually is forced to move in there because everybody on Acid was just skipping him, and he does die on the cart. Jester, just stay focused around this objective here. Acid, I know you have rockets up way in the back line, but Jester can't afford to lose focus. They've got 2 minutes left and more than 25% left to go for a chance to try and win this match. They need nothing short of a miracle in order to take this. Consistent pushes the whole way through. Rocketeers going down left and right. Good kill on Higuruma though. The cart has gone down. There's a bit of a fight going on, but Jester needs to be riding it during these fights, and they have been wiped out. Acid also doing a very good job of mixing up the cart stacking, both who's doing it, when they're doing it, and having players follow up after that first one initially goes down. Jester, meanwhile, flooding down the main rail, leaves an opportunity for, who is that? Lumi to flank behind all the way in Jester's spawn. If Jester can just take Lumi out quickly or completely skip him, that would put him in a useless position. I liked Cosine trying to skip to the cart, but he wasn't in position with any of his teammates. Lumi does go down, so there's not anybody disrupting their spawn, but Jester just does not have the coordination, it seems, to group up as a team the way that Acid was when they were blue. Acid in a very, very strong holding position here with the double shocks and the rockets. Surprise! Here's the shocks, there's the rockets. That's 3 dead Jester players. Gog does take himself out, the sacrifice play. You can always pick up rockets because or shocks because you are closer to the shocks than they are to the cart. And that's exactly what Gog is going to do. Just, even though Jester knows that Gog is right here and he might get instantly pushed like he did in the past life where he had to sacrifice himself, it's such a strong position on the cart. As long as he doesn't get surprised by somebody like Duskull, he's guaranteed to get something done. Duskull. Oh no, Gog knew exactly what he was doing. He could see him in the death screen as Duskull was moving into position, and he gets punished for it. You have to be aware of that death screen. It is a couple seconds where the guy you just killed knows what you're doing and where you're going. They can look around, and now Gog going to take this very strong position once again. Just because they know you're there and can get a surprise jump on you doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, because it works. Good kill on Goofball as well, eventually taken out. But that was enough of a distraction that the rest of his team's able to follow up and clear this cart, which has barely moved in the past minute. We are at a minute 30 left to see if Jester can even make it to 100%. And this hold by Acid is wicked strong. They barely even need to cart stack here because these explosives have always been very close to the objective, able to get those explosives to the cart consistently. Even then, they are still stacking the cart just to try and guarantee that there's no way Jester is going to make it to the 100% mark. Lumi now picking up snipers as well, trying to serve as a bit of a distraction for any eager disruptor. Lumi, by being way out in the open, not only has a good sightline on the cart and along a lot of the straightaways, but looks like an easy target for somebody on Jester to take out, when normally that disruptor might be looking for rockets. Goofball did get the kill on that sniper, but didn't get enough kills to be able to ride that cart consistently. I think he needed to just stay on there, but small quad just a little bit too accurate with those pistols. Does grab the rocket as well. 25 seconds left on the clock. 85.97%. The rockets are down, but GOG, as always, in the strong, obvious position with those shocks. Taken out by Duskull with the double shotguns. Spent a little bit of time getting those.
10,
Is trying to hold the front line for his team, desperately riding up this main rail to make it to cart, but the rest of Jester has been wiped. I don't think any of them are going to make it in time. Indeed not. Acid wins map 1 on Canyon. Let's take a look at these scores over on Acid. Benji, top scoring for his team, 74 kills, 54 deaths, 9,500 score. But GOG, no, Lumi, 89 kills, 51 deaths, is top killing for his team and the whole lobby over on Jester. Similar situation, the top scorer is Zuinyu, 7,700 score, 45 kills, 92 deaths. But Duskull with 74 kills, the 64 deaths, is the top killer over on Jester. So, if you remember, we are playing Volcano next. And now this ain't a Canyon Abyss situation where I get the maps wrong initially. I know what's going on here. And I can only assume, with the way that that previous map went, that it must have been an Acid choice to play on the tried and true Canyon map. A lot of these players on Acid are relatively veteran, like Lumi, for example, and Benji have played around in the top tiers quite a bit. Meanwhile, on Jester, not that many of these players are completely new to the game. Some of them are, but a bit more of a novel team comp. So it makes sense that they're going to be going for the newest map and try and pull something unexpected. The way that Acid played on the Canyon was pretty much the standard way you expect most teams to play that map. And it's had more time than any other map to get practiced on it, for the strategy and the meta to develop. Meanwhile, on Volcano, it's still developing, still working it out. And that is important to keep in mind. Jester going to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat, something magical here. They need to get this second map and bring it to control point if they want a chance at the finals versus Sky. Meanwhile, if Acid takes this next map, they will move on to the finals, and Jester will be in competition for third place against Ajax. Once we get to the finals and third place weekend, next weekend, of course. Whew. What a map. Last map. I'm going to go ahead and change the polls while we're at it. Thank you all for reminding me, even though nobody reminded me. You guys really should have reminded me. How dare you. Who do you think is going to be taking this Volcano? That was quite the dominant first map out of Acid. I won't sugarcoat it. Acid looking very strong here. But we've seen some unexpected swaps when it comes to a team's preferred map. That one team can absolutely dominate the payload. Clearly they are a payload team, great at organization, know the map, have their strat together, and when it comes to the domination, one other team, the one that lost the payload so much, basically can lock in, know they're the underdogs here, and still bring in an unexpected quick win because they have their strategy locked in, because they know what to expect, possibly because they just have different strengths than the other team's strengths in speed, in timeliness, rather than consistency and group coordination. And that is a big, important thing to keep in mind for domination. So, for those of you new to Hyperdash, welcome, first of all. That was an exciting first map. Domination is a map of 3 buttons. You hit the button, it changes to your color. When all 3 buttons are hit, a countdown starts, and the enemy team cannot respawn during that countdown. If they don't switch the color back, you get a point. First to 3 points wins. Now that's important to keep in mind because on Volcano, unlike Quarry, which is a more kind of straightforward move from your base to B to their base, and Waterway, which is extremely open and you cannot move to the enemy base without going towards or through the B button. On Volcano, there is a ton of tubes and tunnels and hidden little accesses through the central B button. But importantly, the path to get from your base to your base's button, or the B button, or the enemy button if you get a dash at your base, is so long that if you freshly respawned just before a countdown, you cannot get to that button. You just don't have enough dashes and time to dash there and walk there or sprint there. And that is very important to keep in mind. You have to play Volcano different from Quarry and even Waterway. Traditionally, Quarry and Waterway, within their own rights, are pretty different from each other, but when it comes to Volcano, the buttons are so... They're simultaneously interconnected by pathways, but so disconnected because of the distance between them. So if you need to kind of have like a separation in your strategies and your positioning, and whichever team can do that the best tends to be the one that takes this map. You can't just charge forward in a straight line like you can on Quarry and like you have to on Waterway. So let's see how that is going to go for today.
Match starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Initially on the opener here.
Red takes A.
Looks like a pretty slow defensive play out of Acid. Benji trying to lock in the B button, but Jester so far has their own base. Was battling for B, but good kill out of Benji there. I like seeing Jester use the armor, but Acid is getting a countdown. Reacher surviving just long enough. Does take out... No, Goofball! Goofball comes in with 1 health and gets the kill. Couple countdowns by Acid. Jester struggling to get B button and their own base back. Another countdown for Acid. Only Cosine and Zuin left alive. They do get a button back. But Gog locking things in. A countdown for Acid. 3 Jester players left alive. All of them freshly respawned, and you can see what I was talking about there. There was a countdown. There was a lock on the respawns. A counter and a quick turnaround back to the countdown and the lock on respawns. Those players who respawned in between those countdowns did not have the time and dashes to make it to that button, and that is important. You need to have a designated survivor. And Acid so far is pretty dominant, it seems. Gog going to be going for Jester's base dash potentially. Does grab it, moves over towards Jester's button. Acid meanwhile does only just now getting B back, but lost Jester's button, and now Gog needs to win this fight with his teammate. Countdown for Acid. 3 Jester players left alive. Not going to turn into a point just yet, as Jester is still battling for B. There might be a desperate last-second counter here. No, Acid gets the second point. Already it is not looking great for Jester. It is looking fantastical for Acid thus far. 1 point left to go before Acid wins this map. Can Jester pull it together with a 3-0 sweep?
Match point.
Gog moving in. Gets the home base, grabs the home base dash, and gets ready to lock in either on B or Jester's base dash. Goes for the high ground. Very methodical, very practiced here. Does not grab the dash, but decides to go back to the button anyways. I don't know about that choice. Goofball does end up punishing that, and now Jester has just their own base for now, but is battling on B currently. What is Goofball going to do? He heads back towards his own base, aware that somebody on Acid is going to start pushing just now. I don't know if he's going to be able to outflank them. No, Lumi gets behind, but Duskull able to follow up very smartly here with the double shotguns. Is going to play defensive and try and give Jester some breathing room to adapt to Acid. I can only assume that is Duskull's strategy here. Play defensive, give room for your team to follow up and maybe get something lucky. Potentially, you could just get all the kills you need right here. Good 3 kills for
Blue takes
Duskull,
B.
now on a 5-kill streak. If Acid does not change up their path towards the Jester base,
Red takes
I'm worried
C.
they might not... Oh, there you go. Small quad flanking with all of the pickups in the world. Acid is going to get another countdown. 4 Jester players alive. Do get a counter over in Acid's base, it looks like.
Red team.
But Lumi
counter.
is locking in on
Team
Jester's button.
scores.
Good kill by
3,
Zunyu, but
2,
Small Quad has double
1.
rockets, and Goofball and Reacher
Red
were
team
not
wins.
able to get that button, having freshly respawned. Acid wins Volcano 3-0 and takes the second map and this match, moving on to the finals for Walker Tier. Let's take a look at those stats. Over on blue, it looks like one player has left. Zunyu, top scoring for their team, 2,500 score, but Duskull with 8 kills and 7 deaths is top killing for Jester. Acid, meanwhile, Small Quad with 13 kills and 4 deaths, 3,900 score, phenomenal play. But Lumi with 15 kills and 7 deaths is going to top kill for the winning team today. Now that being said, I appreciate you all coming in for this exciting match today. Be on the lookout for the finals match and the third place match that will be coming up. That is the next one. Goodbye, everybody.